Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. So I want to talk to you today about some changes that are taking place here and also give you some insight, as least as to what I see are the real difficulties in awakening. And so first off, I've been doing individual awakening sessions now really for 10 years, but I didn't call them awakening sessions all that time. But people have been waking up while talking to me for the last 10 years. And this year will make it 11. So I've had a lot of experience with people waking up while talking to me. And I've had some experience with people who didn't wake up talking to me, who were wanting to. And frankly, it's become, doing an awakening session takes a lot out of me physically. And I don't know why that is. My sense has always been that there's some sort of energy transfer. I don't know how that really plays out on a cosmic scale. I don't know. I don't understand any of this. So if you're looking here for answers, go elsewhere, because I got questions for you, but I don't have much in the way of answers. I don't understand non-duality, and I don't think anybody else does either. So if you don't consider yourself, that's great. If you think you do, you need to take a really good look at what you're thinking. So takes a lot out of me physically to do an awakening session. And so after I'm going to stop doing them. At least I'm going to try to stop doing them. We'll see. I may get caught where financially I have to do them. And if I do, then I will, and I'll endure it. Or, and sometimes I love it. There's nothing that brings me any greater joy to me in my life than helping somebody discover their true nature and be there in that moment, right? That's just, it's exciting. I'm not the slightest bit jaded. I never get used to it. It's a miracle. In my mind, it's a miracle every time. It may be a sort of explainable miracle, but not ultimately in the end. I mean, there's no stating why they work, why awakening sessions have tended to work in the past. But because they take so much out of me, and I'm just going to hang up that part of my teaching, I think. I will still be doing skillful means sessions, like this one going on now. That's too late to join, but it's just one's going on now. And it's the second one, and we've had tremendous success with these things. And so that will now be the means by which you will be able to awaken through this teaching anyway. Will be skillful means sessions. We're going to have them several times a year, so it's not going to be, we're going to have them, I don't know, Betsy and I are looking at it, but somewhere between 3 or 4 times a year, I would imagine. But now that I'm coming to an end of having to do these sessions, and I look at the tremendous record of these first 2 sessions, where the vast majority woke up in the first session. I mean, you could just watch them. It was like, if you can imagine the Zoom squares, if you've ever been to a Zoom room meeting where there's all the little squares, then it was like what I described. It was like Hollywood squares. This square would light up, and this square would light up, and this square would light up, and pop, 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 oh, and it was just it's marvelous to watch. And that happened just this past Saturday. And the percentage of people awakening in those is at least as high as people waking up in one-on-one sessions. And I think I know why. And this just sounds, I don't know, it sounds the way it sounds. One of the reasons that I think that skillful means sessions are so successful is that in those sessions, the first session, not so for the next 2, but for the first session, they don't get to talk. And that sounds like it sounds, but the most common reason, because most people do wake up with me, not everybody, but most, I mean, the vast majority do. And the vast majority who do, they don't come with a preconceived notion of the way that an awakening session should go. They come and they want to plant themselves firmly in the teacher's chair. Now, I have done way over 1,000 awakening sessions, maybe 1,500. I don't know. It's a whole lot. And in all that time spent with people, pretty much all the original questions have already come out, right? I mean, there's really not much in the way that anything that anybody can say to me that is going to make me, oh, well, let me try this then. There's a methodology here that works in over 90%, that works over 90% of the time. It's worked for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So it's weird that you would pay somebody as much money as it costs to talk to me and then bring your own answers with you. But that's what happens. Betsy used to teach woodworking, and she said that the people who became the best students were the people who were open, and not the people who, the people who didn't come thinking, well, I know how to drive a nail or run a saw or whatever it is. And so I'm just going to come in here and I want to make sure they understand how much I know first and whatever. It's the people who came and listened and didn't try to put themselves in the teacher's position, came as students, remained as students. That's who really got it the best. And that's my experience here too. And I don't mean this to be insulting to anybody. I understand that we want to have input in everything because there's a sense of command and control. And there's a sense that he doesn't understand me. But I've had hundreds of other me's in that same chair. And there's just nothing original to say. Fred, you don't get it because or how about this, Fred? Let me ask you this question. And I understand all that. And I did the same thing with Adyashanti, I can remember. I did exactly the same thing. I tried to come across as Mr. Know-it-all. I was already awakened. But and he had recognized that on the phone. And when I met him in person, when I met him it wasn't one-on-one, it was big thing, big intensity, he calls them. And when I met him, but I talked to him live, hell, I wasted most of my time trying to show Aja just how awake I was and make sure that everybody else in the crowd knew it too. It was, the conditioning couldn't be stopped. It didn't make any difference how awakeness was at that moment. The conditioning just couldn't be stopped. And that's what we're really talking about here, is conditioning. There's nothing whatsoever personal in this. There is never anything personal in this teaching because there's no one here to get personal and there's no one there to be personal to. This is strictly me on me. In other words, this is awakeness on awakeness. Awakening sessions are awakeness working with itself. It's the only thing that's possible. So what I'm going to suggest is that it's what I've seen for a long time. I'm just bringing it to a real focus right now, is that what is stopping you from waking up, from seeing things as they truly are, is the stuff that you already think you know. and that you believe to be important. I will tell you that I've had this conversation with countless students. I have said, so the truth is, prior to our own awakening, did you and I actually know anything about awakening? The answer is always no. No one has ever come to me and had an awakening and said, well, thanks, that's just about what I was thinking. It doesn't work that way. I call this the backwards teaching because that's the truth. It works exactly backwards. And the reason that for that is the fact that awakening occurs exactly backwards. The one who wants to wake up is not the one who does. Because it's always the character. I know, I mean, I was there for 24 years. I know what seeking is. I'm an authority on seeking. And I was wanting desperately for Fred to wake up. And I was assuming that this meat would wake up when Fred did. Because I figured that Fred was that. I was absolutely sure that what I really was a Fred Davis, and that this body is what a Fred Davis was, and none of that's true. None of it. So coming in to a session, and I'm not, and I'm just, I'm now not talking about my sessions. I'm talking about just you and your experience in the non-dual world when you get with another teacher, or you come to a satsang here with me, or you whatever. Please don't come as a knower. And I know that many of you did the same thing I did, as you read a library full of books about this, and you had conversations about this, and you dreamed about this, and you thought about this. And we get the idea that we kind of have it. I've almost got it. I really do. I've almost got it. It's just that I may even have it. That's the way right? I may even have it. I may even have it better than this person does, and I'm not, and they may actually need my help. So my phone just went off, so let me just stop that there. They won't bother us anymore, I don't think. Come open and come vulnerable. Because the problem is that everyone that's not everyone. I have people that don't fight me at all. I have people that just who see it and don't bother to try to understand what they're seeing. Don't try to and don't feel like they need to help me. Because when we wake up is when we stop helping. And that's true whether you're in a session with me or you're not. Is that because Fred can't help what isn't Fred to awaken. And there is no Fred. So you can see the futility that there's an imaginary character over there who's raising its hand and saying, listen, you don't understand what I'm saying. You won't let me talk. You've got to, and no, this isn't the way that I can wake up. The way I can wake up is some other way. I completely understand all that. And I totally sympathize with it. It is the same experience that I had for a long time. And awakening was supposed to check off certain boxes for me. And even when I woke up, and some of you may have this, I know some of you have the same issue, was that there was an awakening here in 1992. It didn't have much in the way of duration, but it had a lot in the way of clarity. I mean, It was an authentic spiritual awakening. And there was, because I was so far away from the truth at the time that the truth sought me, there was a little bit of the angels and trumpets thing. And the moment after that awakening occurred, or shortly thereafter, what was seen in awakening is that there's no Fred, that there's no Fred here now, that there's never been a Fred. There's no Fred. So there's no Fred to give up. There's no Fred to give up its control. There's no Fred to surrender. There's simply no Fred. And right after having seen that I was no one, Fred raised up his head and said, wow, I just got it. And that really makes me somebody. I see I'm nobody. That makes me somebody. I'm so excited. And I only spent the next 14 years trying to get that back. But I want you to notice that what woke up was not a Fred. It was the ego did not wake up. There's no firm ego anywhere. But there's a sense, there are patterns. But ego can't wake up because, number one, it's not really there. There's no solid thing in the middle of that, of the patterns. It's just patterns that appear to work together. That doesn't have the capacity to wake up. Those thoughts, they don't have the capacity to wake up. This meat here, it doesn't have the capacity to wake up. It's just like me trying to wake up this glass. So come open. Come as a student, don't come as a teacher. Too many people come to their teacher, not just this teacher, but their teacher, as the almost like you, and which is, I get it, we're exactly alike. But there is a certain clarity over here that notices that there's a certain confusion over there in every awakening session that I hold. I've seen that. You think you know what awakening is about, and I'm here to tell you that you do not. You are, unless you are presently awakened to, unless awakeness is presently conscious to itself, conscious of itself, unless there's conscious awakeness here functioning, there's lots and lots of, there's nothing but awakeness, but that much of it's conscious. And unless their conscious awakeness is working through that unit over there right now, you're not awake. You've had awakening experience. You may have had lots of awakening experiences. I had awakening experiences prior to, I had glimpses, we call them, prior to my awakening. Hell, in 1992, I had the big kahuna thing. I mean, that's what it felt like to me. And it was a very significant, clear glimpse. It just didn't have any duration. And then in 2006, when awakened, I mean, ego moved back in very, very quickly as well. It didn't quite take the same root. It didn't have the same root structure, but there was still a sense of, oh my God, because one of my first thoughts, Buddha never got here. I mean, what is that? That's a character, that's an ego. And it wasn't really an ego that was trying to lord it over everything. It was just shocked. And it wasn't ego, but it's what it felt like. It was awakeness was shocked. Awakeness was shocked to find out that there was only awakeness. There's no Fred. There's no whatever your name is. It's just a handle that we use so we can work with you. It's not true. The one who over there who is listening to this and thinking, I hope I get some information out of this so that then I can wake up. That's not the one who will wake up. It isn't. You can use that body, and none of this, not this doesn't even make sense from a true non-dual perspective. I promise you that. From the absolute perspective, what people tell you when they tell you there's nothing you can do and no one to do it, that's absolutely true. The problem is it's not relatively true. Relatively, there are things that we can do. And you can relatively, and within the relative world here, you can allow your core beliefs to be questioned. If you want to hang on to a victim story, you're probably not going to wake up. That's the number one offender, is the victim story. The second one is you just want to be right. And you don't care what you wanted, what you came to this for was for confirmation of what you believe. And the confirmation of what you believe will bring you just more of what you believe. It's not my job to give you confirmation to your misunderstanding. It's my job to help you wake up from that. And see, the thing is that when I just always had a funny feeling that when people paid me big money to wake up, my assumption was they wanted to wake up. And it was that they didn't want to wake up this way or that way. They just wanted to wake up. And what I've noticed is that after people wake up, they don't care how you got there. They don't care if it was sweet and gentle and lovely, or if you took them by the collar and shook them. It doesn't make any difference. All that kicking and screaming, I just have to love you more than I need you to like me. And that's the truth. And that's what's always been the case here. And it still is. But I'm worn out. You have worn me out. And so it was going to come at some point, I imagine. I don't know. I never really figured it would come. I kind of thought I'd be doing one awakening session until I died. But I'm 68 years old, and I am in moderate health, but I need to be in better health, but I don't have any time. And Betsy and I are in the process of reclaiming some of that time. We're making some changes to the teaching, and this stepping away from awakening sessions is one of them, and offering clarity sessions to people that I don't know. That's not happening either. There's the way to come to this teaching really is come to satsang. Come and hear 40 people. We had 58 people last Sunday. And virtually everybody in there has had awakening experiences. And they didn't, it's an uncanny room. When you get around that, you can't help but be altered by that. Just, we're using language. You never change. But that's the way to come in and find out if this teaching is really for you. Get in there and ask me some questions, a living teacher. Ask me one-on-one, in there. Fred, what about this? Then I can answer you and not just the general public. And have an exchange with me. There's nothing I did that was more important in awakening, and well, not in awakening, but in clearing. There was nothing more important than I did other than going to other teachers, than going to teachers. At that time, I didn't wake up a teacher. It's 5 years before I started teaching. And I have people that right in the middle of their awakening sessions, they say, I think I'd like to do this for a living or whatever. And so they've been awake 5 minutes and they already want to spread. And what you'd be spreading is your own misunderstanding. Because when an awakening happens, as a general rule, doesn't mean you can't be the exception. But see, I was always going to be the exception. In truth, I was an average one. I was an average guy. But I always thought I wasn't. I've always thought I was the smartest guy in the room, which fortunately you have proven to me is not correct, because I work with nothing but brainiacs. And if you're watching this, the odds are you have a very large brain too. So try not to consider that to be just so special and so unique. And bring a little humility. This is what I'm suggesting. Bring some humility to whatever teaching you're engaged in. I mean, if you don't think your teacher already knows what's going on, don't hang around to teach them. Go find a teacher you do think understands what is going on. There's no one has to have any particular loyalty to me or to this teaching. People come here and they stay as long as it's working for them. And it gets to where they can't hear it, or they feel like there's something missing, whatever it is, who knows? They could just have financial problems, whatever it is. They come and they go. And there are people out there that, there are some people out there that have been here who are very clear, and they don't come anymore because they don't need to, they don't get anything out of the exchange, which I can't understand because I always do. But anyway, they just stop, and that's okay. I don't care. This teaching is designed to be helpful to you. Come, as long as this is helpful to you. And don't feel obliged to continue to come if it's no longer helpful to you. And make that so for your teacher too, and your teaching. If you've been with this teaching some teaching for 20 years, and you are still on that path, in other words, you're still a seeker and not a finder, I take a real hard look at that. I take a real hard look at that. There's my midday meeting alarm. So I have a meeting in 10 minutes. I don't think it's an awakening session. Let me see. No, it's not, fortunately. It's with someone who's already awake. So this will go smooth. This is so much easier to know that I'm going to be talking with somebody I already know, somebody who's, quote, already got it, and we'll be able to converse at a reasonable level together as friends. And that's what this teaching is about. It's becoming friends. It's not about holding, there's no such thing as above or below. There's just oneness. There's just awakeness. So there's no hierarchy here. It's just there's awakeness making friends with itself. As weird as that sounds, it's about as close to the truth as I can come. Although I can never tell you the truth. Don't forget that. I can never tell you the truth. I tell you the most truth-like teaching that I can manage. That's what I deliver. Most truth-like teaching that is available over here at this time. Thank you for hearing me out, and I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you in satsang. I love all of you. I will continue to put out videos, so don't worry. The free aspect of this teachings aspects will continue. I do have a new book that's going to come out this spring, and I'll be letting you know about that. I love you, and bye for now.